This video is going to cover the first part of Chapter 7, Section 7. The title is the determinant of a square matrix. So we're going to talk about, well, review the determinant of a 2 by 2 and then talk about minors and cofactors. So the determinant of a 2 by 2 can be found as easiest as multiplying these two terms and then subtracting the product of these two terms. So if you remember, we did this when we were trying to find the inverse of a matrix. We said that that little shape looks something like a Jesus fish, the minus and the I reminding you to subtract. So when you see something like this, notice that it's no longer these brackets. It's straight up and down like an absolute value. This means find the determinant of this box. So I would do 4 times 1 minus 3 times 2. And I'd get 4 minus 6, which is negative 2. That's the determinant of that matrix. All right, example 1 says evaluate the determinant of each of the following matrices. There should be an R there. So just what we did, I would multiply 1 times negative 2 and then subtract from it 5 times 3. Negative 2 minus 15 is negative 17. Then I go to B. I would do negative 1 times 3, negative 1 times negative 3 minus 4 times 2. And I get positive 3 minus 6, which is negative 3. You can also check these answers using your graphing utility or graphing calculator. So you're going to go to that matrix menu, which is second, x to the negative 1. You're going to go over to edit, make it a 2 by 2. Enter in the matrix. So I did A here, which is negative 2, 3, 5, 1. Get out of that menu, hit second matrix. This time go to the middle column where math is, and DET is the first one there. Hit that, and then you want to bring up the name of the matrix, which would be under second, x to the negative 1, back to that matrix menu, and name, we just put that in A. Hit enter, and there's the same answer that we got using the other method. So you can always use your calculator to check these. Keep in mind you won't have them on your test or your quiz, but you could have them on a standardized test, so it's important to learn. Okay, so now we're going to talk about minors and cofactors. So there's actually a method to solving a determinant using minors and cofactors. We're not going to go all the way through it. We're just going to talk about how to find the minors and the cofactors. So we'll start with a minor. The minor of a matrix can be found by eliminating the row and the column of that cell. So if I wanted to find the minor of the first row, first column, I'm going to cross through row 1, column 1, and the number that's left over is actually the minor of that location. So if there's a 2 by 2 matrix, then there's 4 minors, 1 for row 1, column 1, 1 for row 1, column 2, 1 for row 2, column 1, and 1 for row 2, column 2. When you get a 3 by 3 matrix, then you're going to, same thing, if I want row 1, column 1, I start the same way. I cross through the row and the column that cell is in, but then there's 4 numbers left, and to those I find the determinant of those. Now the cofactor of that location is the same thing as the minor, except we change the signs for a 2 by 2 on these 2 locations. And for 3 by 3, we change the signs on like the north, south, east, west locations. Everything else stays the same. So again, the minor we get by crossing through row and column of the location. If it's a 2 by 2, the answer that's there is what it is. If it's a 3 by 3, we find the determinant of what's there. And the cofactor, once we find the minors, we cross through and we change the signs of the 2 locations here and here if it's a 2 by 2, and then here, 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 and here if it's a 3 by 3. Okay, we're going to walk through this. So example 2 says to find all the minors and cofactors of the matrix. So the first thing I'm going to draw is my 2 by 2 because I know that's what I have to find. This location here is row 1, column 1. So to find it, I cross through row 1, column 1, and what's left, -6, is that minor. Then I go to the next one. This time it's row 1, column 2. So I cross through row 1, column 2, and what's left is 3. That's the minor of that location. Then I go to the next one. This is row 2, column 1. I cross through row 2, column 1, and what's left is 5. That goes there. And last one is row 2, column 2. We'll cross through row 2, column 2, and 4 is the minor. So those are the minors, -6, 3, 5, and 4. Now the cofactor, we change the signs on these two. So B would be -6, -3, -5, and +4. So they're not always negative, but they are the opposite signs of where we started, the top right and the bottom left. Okay, now we're going to find the minor and the cofactor of a 3 by 3. So it's also a 3 by 3. And I'm going to first, in row 1, column 1, I'm going to cross through row 1, column 1, and I'm finding the determinant of what's left. So I do 2 times 1 minus -1 times 1, because I go this way, then that way. From there, I get 2 minus a -1, which becomes 2 plus 1, or 3. Then I go to the next one. This is row 1, column 2. Row 1, column 2. Now what's left here is 1 times -3 minus 1 times 1. And I get -3 minus 1, which is -4. Then I go row 1, column 3. So I cross through row 1, column 3, and I'm finding the determinant of what's left, which is -1 times -3 minus 1 times 2, which is 3 minus 2, or 1. Now I continue that process for the other rows. So for row 2, column 1, I cross through row 2, column 1, and I get 1 times 0 minus -1 times 2, or 0 minus a -2, which becomes +2. Row 2, column 2, I'm going to keep row 2, but I'm going to cross through column 2 instead this time. And I'm finding the determinant with 1, 4, minus 1, 2. 4 minus 2, which is 2. Now I go row 2, column 3. And what's left is -1, 4, minus 1, 0. -4 minus 0, which is -4. Now I go row 3. So this whole time I'll be crossing out that last row. And the first one is column 1. So I get 1 times 0 minus 2 times 2. 0 minus 4, -4. Row 3, column 2. This time crossing through column 2. And I get 1 times 4 minus -3 times 2. 4 minus a -6, which is 4 plus 6, or 10. And the last one is row 3, column 3. So now I'm still crossing out row 3, but this time it's column 3. And I get 2 times 4 minus 3 times 0. 8 minus 0, which is 8. So the minors of this matrix are 3, -4, 1, 2, 2, -4, -4, 10, and 8. The cofactors, remember we changed just the north, south, east, west location. So 3 stays as 3. That -4 is in that one of those 4 spots, so we're going to make it +4. Keep the 1 as 1. That +2 is in the spot I need to change, so it becomes -2. 2 stays, -4 becomes +4. -4 stays, 10 becomes -10, and +8 stays. And there's the minors and the cofactors of this matrix. So we're going to stop there for today. You're going to submit your notes. To today's assignment, which is 218, classwork 3, 7.7, notes part 1. And then with the remaining time, you're going to get to work on the homework, which is 218, homework 3, 7.7, homework part 1. Have a great day, guys.